Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the City Conservation Center. Hope you guys are all having wonderful days so far. My name is Leaf, and it is so great to have you guys back here once again for our African penguin habitat. So this is going to be our first habitat within the whole section that we're going to be calling Water's Edge. It's very much a play on River's Edge from the St. Louis Zoo, and it's going to concern all different kinds of animals, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, that have to do with water. And we're going to start off first with the black-footed penguin, the jackass penguin, otherwise known as its common name, the African penguin. As you guys can probably guess, the African penguin did come in the African DLC. Really awesome animal, probably one of my favorites to see at zoos. Very interesting conservation story behind these guys as well. You can see we start to adopt like a million of them. I think we actually have around 30, maybe 36 in here once we actually do get there. Really awesome animal though. A lot of the story behind them is pretty sad, however. When they were first, found out, the sailors around them, like the European sailors, thought their eggs were delicacies, and that led to a severe drop in their population. It's probably one of the most main reasons as to why the population has been really going downhill, but as of recent results of all these zoos coming together and really help these guys out, it's been slowly going up. It really isn't the best, but we here at the City Conservation Center can do our best to, supply help for our virtual ones, at least. A lot of these guys are extremely common in zoos. They're part of those banded penguins, so you can easily get them mistaken for Humboldt penguins, Galapagos penguins, and Magellanic penguins. Those are the 4 types of penguins that make up the banded penguins, and it's just really cool just to see the differences between them all. And these guys are not actually accustomed to the colder weather. I'm sure so many of you guys already know that, but these penguins are found in warmer tropic zones, kind of like southern Africa and stuff like that. While it does get pretty cold over there during the winter months, they still that's words right there. They still are able to survive in a lot hotter climates and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. Now, you guys may be wondering why I called these guys jackasses before, and that is because of their unique call, which unfortunately I wasn't able to record in the cinematics of this video, but I really do suggest you guys look it up on YouTube or something like that. They have a very iconic call that's... I'm not even going to try and do it right here for you guys, because I'll just embarrass myself. But it really is super iconic for the species, and it gives them their kind of signature, kind of funny name. So we should probably talk a little bit about the habitat. So I am keeping in line with the Indian rhino habitat, so we're going to start using all those mud pillars all throughout this build throughout here. I really do like the look of it. I mean, do kind of color match it a little bit more. I really wasn't feeling that kind of orange, but we do settle on orange nonetheless. So you'll see that happen in just a little bit, but I did want to make sure that we do have holding back here. So many of you guys may be aware that I don't really like to do 100% backstage. I like to fake it a little bit, and that's just because it helps save me on time, and I'm not good at backstage. Even when I do try, it's not really the best, but it really does help go a long way just implying that it's there. So that's exactly what we do over here, and I do work on a little bit more of the framing of the building, though I do come back to that in a little bit. I do a small frame throughout here, but I will go back here later down the line once we actually do get to the windows. But that's essentially my building process over here. I never really do anything the exact way that I probably should. Instead, I really do like to bounce around the habitat, which, it may lead to a less interesting speed build. Actually, I would argue it leads to a more interesting. Sorry about that sound. My dog just shook her head a little bit. But no, I really do like bouncing around the habitat a little bit more, because it really does help me... I don't know, it helps me take a step back from whatever I'm building, say for example the backstage housing right there, and it lets me consider what I really need over there instead of just trying to force it going all the way through. So while I'm doing that, I am also going through and adding the rocky coast to the beach. I really wanted this entire section to feel very built up, and I wanted it to feel very high budget. Not really high budget, but a budget nonetheless. It is quite a big habitat for African penguins, I will admit. But you know what? We're just going to chalk that up to our astounding breeding program. That sounds like a good enough excuse, right guys? So making our way throughout here, I start to add a little bit of those faux rocks along the wall, just to help blend it in a little bit more and carry on those themes throughout the habitat. And I get started with all the grasses and the foliage. This is my favorite part of African penguin habitats. Just making sure it feels nice and lush and like, you know, kind of dry a little bit. Lush and dry, I know, it's very crazy, but they can go hand in hand. But as we make our way throughout here, I add a whole mix of plants. I use the Jordan grass, I use the Triordia grass, both together. Gives such a wonderful little effect. And I even use the new Dedrin grass. Comes out really good. And I also use the Chrysote bushes because they look beautiful when you're trying to work with like these nice coastal landscapes. It really is super amazing. So making our way throughout here, I use the saltwort bushes as well, and I start to organize where I want my viewing galleries to be. So you can see I'm only putting plants in specific sections, and that's because I really wanted these sections in between to make room for our viewing gallery so our guests can actually look into the habitats. So I kind of do a little bit of one over here. Very simple. I actually need to bring this part over to my like blueprint yard so you guys can actually use it on your own. But you can see I am only doing this kind of like V shape. It's more like an angular shape than anything else. So I have that coming on throughout there. And I also do just a very simple wooden post fence. Nothing too crazy. I just stack these on top of each other, have a little bit of random rotation. It's a little tick box that you can use in the bottom right. It's super useful for really helping your build stick out a lot more, really helping to break up the monotony of certain things. And I don't know, I just really love the look of this in the end. It really feels so built up. And another thing that I like to do when I work with pieces like this is kind of offset them from each other. So I go throughout here and select random ones, not really random, but I select ones I think can be changed, push them either up or down. And yeah, that's about it. It really does help to sell a lot more of an organic look. And I just was noticing that penguin kind of escaped, so we need to throw him back in there in a bit. But you can see me over here working on the exterior of the habitat. I really wanted this to feel nice and lush. Very juxtaposed to the habitat that we have down below. So I'm using our classic Yorkshire foggrass, our periwinkle grass, and I also throw in some of the saltwort and bamboo here as well. Again, as I said before, in our lemur speed build, I like to use a whole mix of these as a way to create this nice leveled look. And you can see I start low and work my way up higher. And you can definitely see that with the trees that I use. I really do love the cork oak trees. They really turn out so incredible for that stuff, and I really do love using those. So you can see I also use a door down there, and I use the top of that for the actual housing for the penguins down there. You could probably imply that they make their way down there as well, and that we have extra housing down there for the staff as well. So, working on all that stuff, we kind of neglected the actual underwater habitat over there. So forgive me, I didn't get the chance to actually finish that, but we will go back down there with a little bit of foliage. But in the meantime, I really want to add something hanging off of here. I felt like having these like walls be kind of like unhoused for plant life, I don't really know, was not really working too well. So I add a little bit of grasses over there. So I use a whole bunch of different bushes just to give a nice effect, and I think it turns out pretty good. And last but not least, I also add these little frameworks to the path themselves. So I have a small one and a big one. These are going to be part of like the next blueprint update. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but hopefully I can get that out to you guys relatively soon. Currently, Hope Harbor is, I'm trying to get some stuff done for it, but currently it's a little bit on pause. A little more news on that later down the line. So you're going to be expecting a lot more city conservation, which I'm very excited to have because I finally got my inspiration back for it, and I really hope you guys are enjoying the series as well. It really is super awesome just to be able to come back in here and just go on forth with everything that I wanted to do. For the longest time, I really wasn't feeling it. I really wasn't inspired all that much, as you guys can probably tell from me saying that over the past like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos. But this time around, I am absolutely loving this project, and I can't wait to go into it a lot more with all you guys. So I'm also working on the exterior of the habitat over here. Again, the exterior of the habitat is just as important as the interior. So I'm working on that over there. Very simple stuff. And I wanted this area to feel a lot more natural than anything else. Because when I look at images or videos or even my buddy walking through River's Edge, I always am so in love with how beautiful it looks with how, I don't know, how natural it looks, and it's really like you're following the edge of a river and stuff like that. I wonder why. I wonder why they named it like that. So yeah, that's essentially the effect that I want to go on throughout here with. And again, this is why I was talking about before. I needed a little bit of a break from the actual housing for a little bit to work on some other things. Then I come back to the house, and I really am super happy with this. I really love how sectioned off it is. I'm not really sure if you guys pick up what I'm saying over there, but it just feels super nice. And using the mud pillars, not the mud pillars for once, but the actual mud pieces and the panels down there, it turned out a lot better, and I really am so happy with how that looks. So I copy the windows over to the other side as well, and we actually work on that little backstage area right there, and it looks super good in the end. I'm really happy with all the colors too. I feel like the nice blue colors actually match very well with the rest of the area. I'm sorry if you heard a car beep out there, that was kind of weird. But making our way throughout here as well, and making the rest of the underwater habitat work out. So I'm using a mix of those faux rocks, and I also use a few more pieces, like the eelgrass. I think I used a few hydrilla pieces under there. Nothing really too crazy. I didn't want to go too ham with that. Wanted it to feel relatively clean, and I also forgot to add vents. Not those vents. Obviously I'm adding those in right now, so I add a few like air conductor vents up there, but I also add some enrichment items and some like leftover staff pieces. I'm really enjoying these pieces for the conservation pack. They're super fun. It's just so much easier to use these in blueprints, but I also add those little grates at the bottom of the pool so they could actually drain it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy all the cinematics of these nice, gorgeous little black-footed penguins. Hope you guys enjoyed this entire episode and the series up until now. Really excited to get into some more stuff in the City Conservation Center with you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy whatever. I don't even know when this is coming out. I just hope you guys have a great time. Enjoy, have a great one, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode. Take care and have the most wonderful of wonderful days. Bye-bye now.